Arnos Vale Cemetery in Bristol is the last resting place for one of the most famous Indian reformers, Raja Rammohun Roy.
I'm here today to pay my respect to Raja Rammohun Roy, who died 176 years ago, exactly on this day in this city.
Every year in September, on the anniversary of his death, there's a gathering at the Raja's tomb to commemorate his life and works.
Rammohun Roy was born close to Kolkata. He travelled in North India. He learned the Hindu scriptures. He belonged to the Hindu faith when he was born. He also learned the Muslim scriptures, particularly the more radical ones, which talked of the possibility of union with other religions.
He was against the caste system, which was prevalent in India very much at his time. He didn't believe in that. He wanted to eradicate that. Although he was a profound Oriental scholar, he was not reluctant to assimilate Western education, and his scientific and Western culture in education particularly helped India to become modern.
Rammohun fell ill. He suddenly developed meningitis. He had come to visit the Unitarians of Bristol, Dr. Lant Carpenter, who'd put him up in a home in Stapleton Grove. And he had this short attack of meningitis and died. So that he was buried, first in Stapleton Grove, then the remains were exhumed and brought over to Arnos Vale Cemetery. Hindus burn the bodies and scatter the ashes or the remains in the river. If there is a river they consider particularly sacred, like the Ganga, they scatter it in the Ganga. Otherwise, they scatter it in any running water so that it can flow away and mingle with the earth. I have been told that before the 1870s, no scattering of ashes, no body burning or scattering of ashes was permitted by the Anglican establishment in England. So, the Raja's body had to be buried.
This monument was designed by Prinsep, who was an English architect, and it's based on Indian designs, but I think probably with a slight English twist. This was the place where all important people in Bristol were buried, and so obviously it's here to demonstrate that the person buried is Indian and to celebrate his social reforming preachings. It's recently been very thoroughly overhauled because it got into a very bad state of repair.
Throughout the year, the tomb is a pilgrimage destination for Indians from the UK and abroad.
At the age of 6, 1939 summer, April, my father and mother came on my father's furlough trip to England. And the first thing he did, I can remember the summer of 39, Munich had happened, the war had not yet come, and one of the first things he did was come out of London on train to Bristol and bring me up to Arnos Vale. It was a rather shabby Arnos Vale in those days. You didn't have all these trees here. Probably had a few yews, but nothing much more than that. And the graves were not in a very happy condition. But I was meant to see the grave of the Raja, as everybody used to call him in those days, British days. And I've come back here since then.
I come here every year, nearly every year, since 1964.
I brought actually a few teachers from India a couple of months back. And they were visiting the schools in Stockwood and in Bristol, and I specifically brought them here, and they were just astonished. They was amazed, they just did not, knew or could not, understand. So why is it here? And when I explained to them, who did it, who installed it, they were just absolutely amazed, to say that the people of Britain and Bristol have done this.
It's a memorial to a great individual, and it gives the cemetery, if you like, a stature. And I think it's very important that, and it's very fortunate that this monument is right towards the entrance of the Vale, so it's quite iconic.
The Raja is just one of the thousands of people remembered at Arnos Vale. one of the finest Victorian cemeteries in Britain.